Hey guys, Crave here, and yeah, I really meant to put out this video before, about more than a week ago, but with relatives visiting and all the kids running around, it's really just impossible to create content while that's happening in the background. Now, this is going to be about the Division, and yeah, well, it's kind of obvious, and I'm really having a whole lot of fun with it, and I've always wanted to enjoy an RPG with a more recent setting or theme as opposed to, sci-fi ones like Mass Effect or fantasy-oriented ones like Warcraft. Now, The Division's not a perfect game, nor is it a fault-free game or a game without any issues, as you can see in the news, some bugs, some exploits, yeah, basically all that. And yeah, but the thing about it is that it's a really fun game for me personally, and I guess the fact that I did get it for two-thirds the price when it came out, I guess it also helps a whole lot. Anyway, this upload is going to be about sharing some tips that you might find useful. These are all based on my personal experience and they may not necessarily apply to you. Now, the first one will revolve around the leveling process in case you plan to just get the game right now or are sort of pacing yourself decently. Now, if you're not interested in the leveling tip, just click on the skip button for the next four ones. Leveling. So it's an RPG, and for the most part you really have to level or just progress your character in terms of the power, that number that you see on your screen. And if you do want to go through things faster, just remember the following. Your security wing upgrade, do your side missions, do instances in normal mode, help all civilians, and avoid the dark zone, or sort of minimize your experience with it. Now, for the first one, from my experience on the first one, it's just really, when I first started out with the game, I roamed the Chelsea area and didn't work on my primary base. Now, apparently it was a mistake, as I didn't work on the building or the situation room, which is a security wing upgrade. Now, you'll need to, well, of course, the bonus experience you get from that upgrade. So yeah, there are other upgrades from the security wing, but the first one, which is the situation room, is top priority, as it really, you gain the bonus experience benefit from anything you do in game. As for the missions, just make sure to do a decent amount along with the resource missions so that you can also build up your base of operations. Doing these make sure that you don't finish the main plot with levels that you still need to work on. And also, unless you need the gear, just make sure to do your instances in normal mode, as the rewards don't really justify the extra time spent. Stuttering there a bit. And as you're sort of trudging along some of the empty parts of Manhattan, just make sure to help all the civilians you encounter, but don't go searching for them. And if you encounter any mobs, just make sure just to tackle the ones that are directly in front of you. Again, don't go hunting for them, as it is really just a waste of time. And about the leveling process, lastly, just avoid or sort of minimize your time spent in the dark zone unless you want to twink at the max point for every bracket. Just remember, if you do go into the DZ, you only gain zone ranks and currency in that area. Although, as it might be easier, become eventually easier for you when you reach max level, as you don't have to worry about your ranks as much. But yeah, if you just want to hit the big 30, just skip or minimize your time spent in the dark zone. Some things to remember when you're in the dark zone, so that's rank and currency, grouping in chat, and basically don't brag. Now, for the first one, rank and currency, if you don't avoid the zone, make sure you gain as much rank and currency whether you're leveling or at max. Now, if you're leveling and spend time in that area, make sure to push your rank close to 30 before you hit the actual level cap, unless you just really want to hit 30. It takes time per rank. It takes longer to gain more ranks as you gain more of it. Now, coupled with rogue agents just trying to kill you and dying to basically some really tougher PvE mobs, it will take longer to gain ranks. Now, don't buy gear and save your currency, your dark zone currency, for when you hit level 30. Now, the best gear from the Dark Zone vendors are at rank 50, so that's really going to take a while, especially moving from 31 onwards. You may want to spend your currency for rank 30 gear in case you hit level cap with mostly blues. You're going to find that once you have better gear at max level, it makes it easier to roam the area number 6 of the Dark Zone and doing PvE content like challenge modes. Now, when you're in the dark zone, make sure to use VoIP chat and talk to people. I mean, you can coordinate better and let your squad mates know when you're in trouble. Now, in addition, you can easily say sorry in case you accidentally shoot a neutral agent. No guarantees, though, about them not gunning you down in retaliation, but it is possible that they'll just, shrug it off. And one thing, if you do get high-end gear or really some awesome piece of gear, don't shout it out in proximity chat that you got one. You'll become a very obvious target, especially if you're just going solo. I mean, don't tempt people, guys. The Division's a loot-driven game, and it's all about yellow gear with the correct stats when you get to endgame. What's important though is, managing all the loot you get in the game. Now, in terms of weapon types, carry the best weapons or the weapon you are most comfortable using. Now, automatic fire weapons are normal picks for primaries, but you may want to lug around a sniper, sub, and shotgun depending on the situation. I personally carry around a combination of a sniper rifle and submachine gun. Now, it also applies to gear in case you need to perform a certain role. So if your squad expects you to tank some of the mobs, then carry around stuff that makes you tanky. That can mean high armor, high stamina, gear, and of course you also have to go for talents and skills that help that role. And in terms of the extras or the loot you don't have a use for, you can do basically three things with them. You can sell, deconstruct, and pass to an alt. Now, selling is one of the options, as you can also buy yellow weapons from your advanced weapons vendor at your base. Now, I prefer deconstructing them for when you hit max level and get to buy the yellow blueprints from your special gear vendor. Now, lastly, you can also pass them onto an alt to make sure they get some decent gear when they hit max, and basically just drop them in your stash. Of course, there are also currencies to consider. You get your regular currency, Dark Zone currency, and Phoenix credits, or Phoenix currency. Now, regular and Dark Zone currency are very easy to understand and obtain, so you just get them just like that. It's really the Phoenix credits that are important, as they are, allow the buying of high-end gear and blueprints from the special gears vendor, along with, other cool stuff. Now, you only get the thing about Phoenix credits or Phoenix currency is that you only get them from your dailies and Dark Zone, certain Dark Zone characters, elite Dark Zone characters. And my suggestion to get that is just to make sure you do your dailies and the challenge modes once it's you don't become too much of a burden to your team. The second thing is to simply push 2 or 3 more characters to max level. Remember, Phoenix credits are shared among your characters, so the more characters you can do those dailies, even if you're just into hard modes, the bigger pool, the Phoenix credits pool you're gonna have for all your characters. So basically, you can equip your main so much faster. The Division is a very numbers-oriented game. It's actually one of the issues that puts many gamers off because it translates into sponginess in many scenarios, especially if developers don't make interesting mechanics per boss fight. Now, this is the area, honestly, I feel where UB and the developers try their best but didn't too well in communicating. Now, to my knowledge, they still don't have a central site where all the numbers are detailed. So it's really tough for players to, basically guess what formulas they could come up with and stuff like that. But yeah, I wish Ubisoft would do this. But anyway, this is also the part of the game where it's sort of heavy into numbers that I really appreciate. I mean, the basic of the Division is gunplay, but if you want to be more effective at healing or bombing via skill, then, skill power should be enhanced. The more points put into skill power, the better your healing, support stations, turrets, sticky bombs, and shields perform. Now, it's pretty, straightforward. I guess that's the word I would use in terms of DPS, but it is affected by multiple factors and considerations. So, if you're a sniper type of guy or don't like the recoil of an automatic fire, then you might consider a marksman rifle, Scar H type rifles, or maybe some shotguns for better damage per shot as opposed to a full automatic gun. Now, if you're really good at aiming and twitch firing, then your shots will count more per trigger pull. If you're more into burst sprays or outright holding the trigger, then the damage per second number will matter a bit more. So you're probably looking at assault rifles, some vectors, and stuff like that. Now, of course, don't forget to pay attention to your health value. I mean, go with what helps keep you up in gunfights. Being a glass cannon in this game is, a bit frustrating, even though it is a cover-based shooter. And remember that health isn't just about stamina. There are other health modifiers like armor to consider, which eventually calculates into your overall effective health. Now, when I say effective health, it's the final value of your being, toughness, or it's sort of like your time to be killed when everything is considered. Now, of course, there are other factors to be considered like healing abilities and perks, but the basic is to make sure you balance the three stats to what you're comfortable with and whatever suits your playstyle. With the exception of grenades, it appears that consumables may not be as useful, but they sure make life a whole lot easier in game. Now, here are the current consumables in the division. You got canned food, energy bar, water, and etc. And while not having very obvious effects like grenades, they can help take down some of those tougher elite mobs during the duration or save you from those annoying burn effects. Now, if you don't like managing all of them, just make sure to keep 2 or 3 of them in mind. Now, for example, make use of energy bars to remove those annoying damage over time effects you get, like some fire damage. Yeah, I really hate that. It also has this very minor disorient graphical effect. So, yeah, just make sure that my suggestion is get rid of those damage over time effects. And I don't know how they're set up to be used on consoles, but the default bindings on PC are a bit wonky. So I do suggest making sure to reset them to what you're comfortable with. Again, at least 2 or 3 will do. So the grenades do have a radial menu that you can work with, but to sort of increase your effectiveness, you may want to rebind them to make things easier for you. And those are the 5 things that I feel are very useful in the division. At least for me personally. Now, if you're the sharing type, I do suggest that you drop your tips in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.